Tahar Rahim, you play Ali Soufan in Looming Tower, and he's a real person who was investigating terrorism for the FBI in the years leading up to 9/11. And he's actually involved in the production of the series. What were your initial thoughts about playing him?
About him, so look, the story is kind of a bit funny because I was talking with the people. I mean, with Dan Fitterman, who is the showrunner, and Alex Gibney, who's the producer and a director as well. And I was talking with them to know more about the whole show and about my part because I've only received 3 episodes, and I'm not used to say yes to 30% of a script. So I talked with them, and by mistake or by chance, I said, okay, I'm going to talk to Ali. And Ali is my American agent, and they thought I was talking about Soufan. So they said, let's set up a call. And I was like, yeah, why not? So I talked with Ali Soufan, and he told me what's going to happen to him in the shows. So what happened to him in his life. So I felt way much reassured about what I was going to play. And he just finished the work they began, you know. So then I talked with him, and he told me a lot about what he's been through. And over the course of the pre-production, I had the opportunity to meet him, and I was like an actor, you know, with tons of questions, like boring questions. What do you do here? What do you feel there? What do you eat? You know, these kind of things. And when I met him, he was. I understood that it was not the right way to prepare my character. So I decided just to be with him, to talk with him just like that, like two friends, and to understand more about who he is in his private life so I can bring this to the character. When he works, I know what it is, you know. It's like it was well written. So I started to investigate a little bit more about everything, so I knew it. And my work was to understand the man and his relationship with the people from the FBI, with his girlfriend at this time, Heather, and his values. And his values are great. I mean, I never met someone who's so devoted to his country and to his job. And when I'm talking about country, I'm talking about America, not Lebanon, because he was born in Lebanon. And I was moved by by the will he has to defend his values like freedom, respect, and try to save people. He was only 20, I don't know exactly, 27 or 26 when he got to the FBI. And when you're 27, you don't think about that. I mean, when I was 27, I was hanging out with my friend, having fun, party, restaurants. I was not even aware about the fact that we can do something to change the world. So I was really impressed by that. And I thought it was something really important. So I started to ask the writers why this young man wants to do this, why he wants to change the world. And we started to think about something. I don't know if it's his private life or not, because he doesn't really talk about his childhood. So we thought that Ali Soufan from the show is someone who's been through the civil war in Lebanon, and he lost a lot of friends. That's the reason why in the episode 7, I don't know exactly, or 8, he meets a bunch of young kids with weapons, and he feels related to them. So maybe he wants to send to pay back to life what um, he's been saved by life, and maybe he wanted to pay back for that.
And have you heard from Ali Soufan about the finished product since the whole thing was finished and aired? And has he seen the whole thing?
Yeah, I was worried that he didn't like what we did, and especially what I did with him. But he was so happy, very, very happy, and he's still happy. And I remember there's a funny thing. He said, "I don't know the whole thing about the shoes, because in the show there's something that comes quite often about the shoes. Like he has bad shoes, and he's gonna buy some Ferragamos, and he said that one time, and at the premiere in New York, he just came with a beautiful suit and some Ferragamos, and I was like, man, what are you talking about? You got Ferragamos on your feet, and we laugh about it. Yeah, he's really pleased and honored that the story can be told, so that the young people could investigate to understand more about their life, about their world, about history, because it's part of American history, of course, but it became part of the world history. And for this beautiful message that is fight against the evil and work hand in hand to not repeat the same mistakes. So he was honored about this, and I am.
And as we see in the series, one of the big conflicts for Ali is that he's sort of caught between being an American and an FBI agent, and also being a Lebanese Muslim who is suddenly in the Muslim world trying to investigate terrorism. What was it like exploring that kind of push and pull for him, where certain people make assumptions about him that are both wrong, no matter where he's coming from?
Yeah, I think it's an important point because, but it's not to me, it's not the most important thing because I think that you can live with your culture in another country. You can. It's better to have two culture than only one. You get twice richer inside of you. So I think it's a good thing to have. The more culture you know, the better man you can be because the more you have culture, the more you understand people. So you got more empathy for them, which makes you maybe a better man. And but in the show, he's always facing uh, like kind of terrorist people or future terrorists. So of course they're gonna tell him you're a traitor because they're not they don't have the truth. They're completely brainwashed or they have bad ideas. They're not good people. Of course they're gonna see someone who's Arabic, like they're gonna see him as a traitor. But for him, it hurts not to see them saying this, but to feel that they hijack his religion, they hijack his culture, and they're it's not good for all the people from the Middle East to have these crazy people doing these things. It's just it hurts. So that's the reason why he was so in between two things, and sometimes he got on his nerves because of that.
And you have some experience living in multiple worlds. You act in multiple languages. How has that affected your experience as an actor? Do you feel like it kind of opens up your mind to different worlds and experiences and the characters you play?
Yeah, let's say that it's my first big character in America, my first big part, and I didn't know if I was able to do it. I mean, it's a huge project. It's like 10 hours speaking English, make people believe that I am an American citizen. And there's a lot of information as well. So I need to work with a coach for like maybe 2 or 3 hours a day during 3 months before we shot. So that was not easy, I gotta say. and and I learned that because when I work in my mother language, I don't have to think that much about the lines. I mean, I've heard these words, I know what it is. So it's like I learn my lines in the morning so I can keep the acting fresh. And in this case, I had to learn everything by heart before. So I had to focus on my acting and deliver my line in a proper way. So I discovered that in working like that, I got rid of all this psychology question that can pollute yourself as an actor. And you start to think about this and that, and that brings you away from the main thing you have to do, which is make your character believable. So I didn't have to think about it. That teaches me that I can do it maybe in France as well, or whatever in Europe. And I felt way much focused than usually. And the fact that everybody was like working and working and working, I felt like I felt like a fish in the sea. I think that's the way I need to work now, from now on. The professionalism that I met, that I faced was great.
Is there any particular language that you've worked in that you found is the hardest to either learn or the hardest to kind of keep in mind while you're acting? It's a big challenge.
Yeah. I did a movie, a Kevin MacDonald movie called the Eagle of the Nine, and I had to play it in Gaelic, ancient Gaelic. Let me tell you that I didn't know what it was. I still don't know what it is, but I had to play in a dead language to and deliver your line without knowing what you're saying, but just have the intention. It was really hard. I didn't know if I was right or wrong. I had to trust my director, which I did. That was really hard. And the second thing was the Arabic in the show. 'Cause I don't speak Arabic. I don't speak Lebanese. So I had to learn everything by heart. And as you saw, I think you watched the show, and the very last scene, which is maybe, I don't know, 10 or 12 pages and all in Arabic, that was tough, really tough.
And what was that scene like to shoot where you're interrogating the suspect and trying to not just act in this language, but as Ali Soufan trying to reclaim Islam from al-Qaeda, this suspect who has not read the Quran clearly. What was it like to play that scene out for the character?
First of all, when I read it, I thought that was a beautiful scene, right? But it was hard for me to believe that the guy would flip so not easily, but he would flip with this with the way he interrogated him. I was like, no, he's not gonna flip just like that. But that's a true story. This is exactly what happened. So I was like, wow. So the guy in front of him was he really felt something for God to feel that guilty. And what I thought was that at this moment, the Ali Soufan from the show was working, but not just this. It was more of a duty for him. He was talking for all the people who are suffering because of them, the terrorists, I mean. And it was much more than just an interrogation. That was a duty, something that he has to make people understand and change. And what was great in the material that they wrote is like in 10 minutes of a scene, you make people understand what's the difference between someone who understood his religion and another one who didn't. And you don't need to spend like hours in front of your TV and listening to some people talking and arguing and everything. And at the end, you don't really know what they're talking about or what's the difference. That's the strength of the fiction. And that's the reason why I love movies and TV series, because you can make people understand way much easily and sometimes teach them something if they don't know.
And that final episode also is significant because that episode takes place on 9/11, when the attacks take place. But it's very sparing about how it shows the attacks, which are something very traumatic to a lot of people, a lot of Americans certainly. What did you think about how the show handled that event in general?
First of all, I was like a lot of people, absolutely unaware about what happened before, about the miscommunication between the CIA and the FBI. That if they would have worked hand in hand, maybe things would have been different. Maybe we never know. But when I learned this, I was like, okay, so we got these type of problem, maybe in America, but also here or in every in Europe as well. So I'm like, okay, maybe people has to understand that working hand in hand is the key. They have to, and the way I think they did something very great with the last, no, maybe the ninth episode uh, about cinematographically talking. They don't even show the towers. They don't show the planes, and I think we've seen it. Why do you want to show more again and again these awful images to the American audience and the world audience? You don't have to, and it's way much uh, hurting. I mean, you feel it. It's like you see John O'Neill in the tower. Just I don't know what it is, something hanging on the wall, and you understand it's happening. We all know, and it's like I was started when I saw it. I started to feel what I felt the day I saw it on TV, and the fact that they finished the show with true footage was important, just to remind people that we're not forgetting it, and that this is not a fiction.
And playing an FBI agent on the show, there's also some action involved in the series. What was the show like to play in a physical sense, stunts? What was that like?
And that was tough. You know, I said that last time to someone, to a friend of mine. I said, listen, I always wanted to play in an action movie, to be an action hero, just to know what it is. I would do this and that, and I know I can do it. And I have only one big action scene, and we had, of course, to do it like maybe, I don't know, 15, 17, or 20 times. And I was literally dead. And I'm like, okay, I'm not ready to handle a whole movie like this. But that was funny. Really, that was funny because they brought some stunts to do it, and we did it. So I want to do it. And at the end, they just kept our scenes, our takes. So I was happy.
So do you think in the future, if maybe like more stunt people, or just like more time to prepare for, like, on a treadmill or something, so you have the stamina to kind of do those kinds of scenes?
Oh yeah, next time if I have a movie that and there's and if there's some action scenes in it, I'll prepare before, because now I know what it is, and maybe I'll quit smoking as well.
And the show has all aired, and it's all available to watch on Hulu. What do you most hope people take from the show? Who are coming to it, who are watching the whole thing?
If you don't learn about your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And I want the youngest audience to go and investigate, to know about more about what happened, so they can understand more of the world they're living in. It's important because it's like the world has changed with 9/11. Literally, I remember we had the world was turning in one side, and it started to be different suddenly. And I understand. So they got to know that, so they can understand their own world and their own friends, and what they have to do to make the world a better place, maybe.
Well, I want to congratulate you on the show, and thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you so much. We did it.